Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra. It is Wednesday. We have gotten out of March, thank God. It is April 1st. Nobody cares that it's April Fool's Day because we're all getting punked right now. But yes, April 1st marks a new month. It marks when bills are due. It marks when rent and mortgages are due. So a lot of people understandably freaked out right now, opening the mail, stuff like that. So today we're just kind of doing a vent session. What are you guys most worried about? Is it bills? Is it rent? Is it paying your mortgage? Is it your business? Is it your mental health? Is it your kids? Let us know. Let's chat about it. Wow. And I love that Drew is sitting there with Blaze on the couch because that just calms me a little bit.
Absolutely.
Just having a pet around, right?
I feel like with this topic of conversation, hey, we know there's a lot of things making you sad right now and worried, so lift them for us and tell us which of those is the most worrisome. I feel like I need a therapy dog, so Blaze will help me get through this edition of Sunrise Extra. But you're absolutely right. It is a topic that's on people's minds, and the fact is we all have worry right now about something, and in many cases it's many things. I worry for all those school kids out there, specifically the seniors, as it looks like an almost guarantee now that school will not get back into session the way we know school to be. And high school seniors are going to wrap up their high school careers outside of the building. It's just a very weird deal as some of those kids get ready to try. I'm sure a lot of them thought, hey, this is my final push before college. And now that final push is being made under the roof of their parents' home.
Can I just say one thing? I'm not going to derail the conversation, but I am seriously having a Zen moment looking at Blaze snuggled up on your lap. Like, I could just put that up on the Sunrise Extra and just look at that dog. He looks so peaceful. That's what we need.
There is a large part of me, Brenda, that would rather just kind of kick back a little bit more in the recliner, take out the earpiece, and just do away with this Sunrise Extra and just kind of relax with Blaze right now. But I know that's not the assignment. I could do that maybe in 15 minutes.
15 minutes. I know, and Rod, you had Maximus join us on TV for a couple minutes, which was so great, his golden retriever.
Yeah. I tried to get him to come over, but for TV, I went into the kitchen and I got some of those freeze-dried liver treats. That works. Now I don't have them, and I was like, come on, Maximus. He literally opened his eyes for a second, looked at me, then closed his eyes, so he's back in the corner.
Your fur baby is so spoiled. He is a beautiful boy, though.
Okay, so this is the way it works. If you guys are just joining us for Sunrise Extra, we are an unscripted after show. We talk about the big stories. We talk about the funny stuff that's going on. We check in with each other. The best part about this is there's no rules. You guys kind of lead the chat. We are watching your live comments come in. I am watching Twitter and YouTube. Brenda and Drew are watching on Facebook. If it's easier for you to text us, you can see the number right there on the bottom of your screen, 503-226-5111. Leave us your name and just text us. What are you guys kind of the most concerned about now as we start up April 1st? And
what are you seeing, Nina? I've got nothing on the stream yet.
Oh,
wait a minute. I looked down and we've got Stanford Walker.
Oh, one of our rules.
He also agrees. A Zen moment for us at the Walker home looking at little Blaze. Does anybody else have some stuff? Yeah, see, people love the puppy. Hey, Missy, good morning. Yeah.
I mean, we are just so
sometimes
fortunate.
you got to let the people dictate the topic of conversation.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Maybe the topic should be, what brings you into your Zen moment during these difficult times, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Blaze is doing the trick this morning.
We are so fortunate to have jobs, even, and our jobs are even more so important during this kind of time. But yeah, I just imagine like the business aspect of this. If you don't know yet of someone directly affected by coronavirus, the actual illness of it, which, we may be all touched by it in different ways as kind of time progresses, if we become close to someone who's gotten sick. But right now, I think a lot of us, in the Northwest, it's economic worries. It's got to be. I saw, we did a story yesterday with Departure chef Gregory Gourdet, who Drew, you had on God, that felt like forever ago, for March. What is it? Portland Dining Month.
It was the beginning of March. It was the beginning of March. It was the first Monday in March. We had Gregory Gourdet in the same studio where you stand right now, Nina. And you're right, that does seem like ages ago, and that was literally just a few weeks ago.
And he's trying to open his own restaurant. He's writing a cookbook right now. He's obviously the head chef still of Departure. All of those places closed down, plans on hold. And we did the story with him because he's doing like Instagram live cooking his own recipes at home, and he tells people ahead of time, you know, what ingredients to get, what recipe he's making, and he's making them in his little apartment kitchen along with the rest of us. But he really has made pleas to the governor, Governor Kate Brown, because, you know, we've heard she's put moratoriums on home evictions right now, and in Multnomah County there's even stronger kind of home eviction freezes or moratoriums. But there is none on commercial buildings. So restaurants, small businesses, any kind of business, there is no protection for commercial properties. And he's really, if you don't have a good relationship with your landlord where you can work out a deal and, you know, maybe the, you know, pay at the end of your lease or defer it in some way, things are gonna get super hard. And I was reading, there was a great article, and I think we've linked it on KGW.com, from Michael Russell at the Oregonian, who does all the food critic stuff. And he says next, was it Monday or Tuesday, April 6th, is the day when landlords of restaurants could start to take possession of kitchen equipment if they don't have some kind of deal worked out.
Wow, that's
in
rough.
order to hold over, you know, if they can't pay rent. So things are getting a little scary. Lance on YouTube says he's worried that Rod won't be able to do the weather somehow. Don't worry about that, Lance. Rod's all good.
You know, we have...
But did you see the comment? Another gentleman wanted me to cry because I'm not going to be playing golf. Did you see that comment?
No.
I can't remember the name. Somebody said, I want to see Rod cry on TV because no golf. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
It could
I'm
happen.
crying once the TV set goes off, yeah.
Tracy Bishop Yerman, good morning, says so many worries. I have done well and rolled with all this, but I have found myself more emotional lately. Boy, that is understandable. And then Dawn, good morning to you too. She says, my daughter is 24. I am most worried for her if she happens to get this virus, as she has had asthma all her life. She's being very responsible about the shelter in place, and she gets to work from home now. But yeah, that's a huge concern, the people that you love. You know, the other thing I was going to say is I was looking at the front page of the New York Times app, and it says, pandemic is greatest challenge since World War II. That's a quote from a UN official. And when I look back at the beginning of this, it's been a weird drip, drip, drip. We had, you can't have groups of more than 250. Then you can't have groups of more than 50. Then you can't have groups of more than 10. And then the president came out, and it is a national emergency, yet we're leaving it up to states, and only, I believe, 32 or 34 of them have shelter in place or stay at home orders. And what everybody keeps saying and what we're seeing is that the economic pain appears to be getting worse the longer we stretch this out. And while nobody wants to shut down everything for a couple of weeks or whatever it's going to take, it seems like it just keeps slowly creeping the longer we do piecemeal, piecemeal, piecemeal. And it is starting to dawn on people that this is a huge deal. And the virus doesn't give a you-know-what if it's crossing the U.S. border or somewhere in Europe or in Asia. I mean, it affects people the same way once it starts to spread. So I wonder when in our collective consciousness we are going to get that through our heads, and the leaders especially. Maybe you can't leave it up to all the states on a piecemeal basis if this really is what they're saying, as it's a national health emergency. Standing down now. Go ahead.
S. Carlson 715 on Twitter says, I'm worried about paying rent today. Yes, for sure. That is a scary thing. Call your landlord, tell them. And a lot of times you have to have documentation of some kind of how the coronavirus has affected your paycheck and your business in order to show them. So if you have, you know, a lack of receipts or contracts or something that have ended because of this, you need to show that proof. But No one, you have to do the reaching out and start that conversation with your landlord. It doesn't just automatically happen where you just don't turn in that check. I was reading a NBC News article. It was an op-ed actually from a psychologist, Brenda, kind of like what you were just talking about. And now, you know, when the president came out yesterday and said, okay, this is going to, even if we do our best social distancing, we are going to have hundreds of thousands of people die from this in the U.S. And so, you know, and they had extended this kind of stay-at-home thing until the end of the month. The psychologist was saying we can't think of it we don't do well in following rules if it's like long and drawn out. You have to think of it in chunks. So like, let's get through this week. What am I going to do to kind of bide my time this week or this coming weekend? Like, what chores should I put on a list to kind of cross off to spend that time? Because if you think of it as like, oh my gosh, you know, we're going to be doing this with each other for the next who knows how long, 2 months or something, we won't follow those directions and we'll say, the hell with it, and we'll start to you know, kind of disobey and go outside of the home and stuff. You have to think of it in chunks, which I thought was really interesting psychologically.
I think that's whatever works. I think that's a great idea. My psychology is a little bit different. Drew and Rod, I'd be curious to know what you think. But what's worse for me is trying to have some artificial deadline in my mind. Like in 2 weeks, this is going to be over, or in a month, things should be getting back to normal. I would just rather operate personally like it's the new normal, and if things improve, if we get a vaccine, if we have some other kinds of drugs that fight COVID-19, then great. If it can actually end sooner than later, yes, thank God. But to me, the worst is setting artificial deadlines and then being, I guess, disappointed by them not, you know, coming through. Drew, what do you think?
That makes total sense. No, that makes absolute sense because we've been teased to some degree, you know, even with like the school things. And a lot of my perspective comes as a parent. You know, we were told, you know, schools are going to be out until March 28th, and then schools are going to be out until the end of April. And the definitive word hasn't come out yet, but we know it's coming in the next day or two, that schools are going to be out for the rest of the year. And so as a parent, you kept thinking, okay, we can do this for a couple of more weeks. Oh, okay, we can do this for another month. Oh, geez, we got to do this for the rest of the, you know, the deadlines keep moving on us. So I see the benefit in saying, you know what, this is the new normal. You got to tackle every day and every week and every month as this is the way it's going to be. But there's a part of me, Brenda, that struggles with that because, again, from my own perspective, if the new normal is me broadcasting from our basement, my basement every day, honestly, I don't know if no kidding, all kidding aside, I don't know if I want to do that every day, you know, moving forward. If that's my new normal, I will find a new other normal because this isn't what I want. I want to do something more than just be in my basement.
I know, but it's only temporary, and I would miss you. You cannot leave us. You can't
bail.
Well,
you just said maybe I got to treat it like it's not. You told me I need to treat this as if this is going to be the new normal and don't look at it as temporary.
Well,
right?
I mean, in the bigger picture, it is the new normal for now. Nothing ever stays the same. Things always change. Eventually, something is going to change. It won't always be exactly like this. And I think that's my bigger point is for right now, it is like this. So I'm going to try and stay present.
Right.
I'm going to try and stay in the moment here. This is our life right now. And it's for the greater good, hopefully. And again, people are working around the world. The other thing, Nina and Rod, that I am just blown away by is you have all these scientists and medical researchers, and they are around the world working on one problem. And they're like, hey, we're making some progress. We know more about the virus than we did like a month ago or 2 weeks ago or even last week. And the brain power that is solidifying around this one crisis just blows my mind. I'm like, oh my God, what else can we do? If this were the case all the time about really important issues in our society, I mean, I think that we would be in such a better place.
Yeah, you know, guys, for me, I think, I don't know, I think about at some point last week, I started to think, well, we've lost April, meaning everything is going to be, and rightfully so, pretty much closed down through the month of April, then at some point in May, we'll get an idea next of where we stand. And I would think in May we would start to get an idea, are these closures going to continue, and is the virus going to continue growing, or in fact are we going to start to get confidence in May that we're starting to see the curve go down, which would set up the belief, I would think, that at some point going into the months of June and July, things would slowly start to get back to at least more normal than they are right now. Maybe not fully, and to your point of, we have, brilliant people, not only in our country, but around the world, working on, medicines that hopefully will get some good news maybe by this fall, of whatever that good news would be, but maybe, at least something, that confidence is growing at that point. So that's kind of the timetable that, I think my mind is in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny Carlson says it's
I
overwhelming.
think Brendan makes a great point.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I did think you made a great point there, Brenda, before, just before Rod there, about the fact that everyone coming together like this on one cause is something we don't get to see all the time. And it is great to see. Unfortunately, I feel like, as everyone is so focused on this one matter at the top, this coronavirus issue has led to other issues below it that are also causing problems that everyone needs to kind of band together and work on. So we're all working on several key things here at the same time. Well, we're trying to fight a disease that we don't have a handle on yet. We're trying to now stop all the job losses that are coming as a result of businesses closing. There's issue with schooling now that everyone can't go to school. So I do appreciate the idea that everyone is coming together on this one common goal. But I feel like now we have several major goals that we didn't have to deal with at all 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you are
Again,
absolutely right.
Why am I so depressed sounding when I have a dog on my lap?
Aw. I mean, I think you're right. We didn't have to deal with some of those issues because they weren't in front of our face. And I am putting myself front and center. I am blessed. I am fortunate. I had parents who somehow put me through school. I worked a little bit. I mean, I am where I am for a variety of things, some of which I didn't have much to do with. Some of it I did. But it is easy as we go about our daily lives not to really focus on what we can't see and what isn't in our path as we go, doing whatever we're doing. But this crisis, this health crisis, has exposed god-awful inequities in our society. Mm-hmm. It really has. Mm-hmm. And if we just open our eyes to them, that's what I want to know. After this is over, and it will be over at some point, but what will be different about the way that we conduct the United States of America? Will anything be different with healthcare? Will anything be different with big business? I'm not talking about small business owners. I'm talking about corporate America. Will they bring employees as stakeholders to the table instead of just shareholders? I don't know. Are we going to change, or are we going to go back to business as usual eventually? Because Drew, you are absolutely right. This health crisis has now shown the cascade of what we have been ignoring for decades here in the United States. And it's, in my opinion, it's shameful. Each one of us need to step up and at least ask ourselves, whether we agree or not, we have got to ask ourselves, is this the best we can do?
Of just staying home, you mean?
No, I mean of actually moving on after COVID-19, right? And what our country will look like.
Right.
Yeah.
With the inequities among different people.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot deeper than a lot of people are thinking, though, Brenda, to be honest with you. And that's what I always love about you, because you make me think about things that I wasn't focused on or hadn't thought about. But I feel like so many people, we're talking millions, if not billions, of people were comfortable in their lives and look forward to getting back to that life that was. So I would say that even though this has shed light on things that need to be changed, my guess would be if this does sort of resolve itself quickly, like in the next few months, that things would go back to the way they were just a couple of months ago. And there wouldn't be that much visible change, I don't think. That's just, just a guess. My own
It is
personal
interesting,
opinion on
though,
that. But I don't know if there will be great change.
Without sports to watch, and without movies being filmed, and without all these fluffy silly things that we spend so much time thinking about and propping up these quote unquote heroes of like, who are we actually thanking now when, you know, it really comes down to it. And it's, you know, the middle to lower class workers who are, you know, who are, well, just like we showed in our, I loved that, in our newscast today, our own, you know, cleaning service here at KGW, like, thank you to folks who do that, who are those shelf stockers or who work at the gas station, you know, and are there to open the place up and keep us, you know, keep our cars and everything ready to go in case we need that. Like, those are the real, you know, kind of gears of America that keep us going. It is just eye-opening to kind of realize that and remember that when so many people, you know, kind of fall through the cracks or don't get recognized, and we, you know, prop up athletes and all that kind of stuff. So
I know, I think it's one of those things where hopefully, if we're thoughtful about it, I mean, really introspective about it, you can't unsee what we just have seen, what we are seeing on an hourly basis. I mean, there are people who are desperate and hurting. You know, the other thing that I think about, we have great discussions, kind of arguments at my house. We all go around with our opinions. But as an individual, what are we told? That we should have a year's worth of salary or savings in case the bottom fell out of something. So what about these big corporations who, you know, a month ago were going gangbusters? And so the big multinational companies, should they not also have at least a year's worth of whatever to get them through? I mean, it's like the bottom falls out and then it's a huge crisis for everybody. And I'm thinking, but you're making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
And I'm sure an economist could tell me exactly why that works with reinvestment in businesses, et cetera, et cetera. But why are the rules so different for the four of us and everybody out there listening and watching, and the people who operate at that, you know, huge,
and they get
huge
bailouts.
level?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, it was
I don't
cool
know,
to
I'm
see that.
asking.
Yeah, that Columbia CEO, what's his name?
Tim Boyle?
Tim Boyle, cutting his salary
Tim
to 10
Boyle.
grand a year.
Yes, Tim Boyle.
I mean, you know, that's great. That is very great. But it is crazy. Like, you think of these giant companies and, like, really, if you guys cut your salaries across the board, you'll be able to stay afloat and pay those workers.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, it's something to think about. What else are people saying? Are you looking? Let me look at some of the comments. Do you have some, Nina?
It's 7:24, and I'll say this much. I've gone this far into the Sunrise Extra without being able to pull up the internet in my basement. And I don't know if because it's where I'm sitting, and quite honestly, with Blaze on my lap, I didn't really want to try to move anywhere else, but I have yet to be able to actually pull up the feed 20 minutes into this
That's okay.
Sunrise Extra broadcast.
Amanda McDonald on YouTube says, I would like to hope that after this crisis, people would be more mindful and appreciative of what they have and to realize that it does take all of us to keep this going. Very well said.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
somebody
you
else
guys.
said
Oh, go
lean
ahead.
in and help each other. So should that be the last word?
Yes.
Good advice.
Let's have that be the last word. Okay, you guys, we'll do it again tomorrow. Bye.